Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Onchain India podcast. We have Ankur from Airchains with us today in this podcast. It's going to be a very interesting conversation with Ankur because I think he's primarily been in this segment, for a couple of years, seen, multiple sort of cycles, have some amazing, use cases which are very practical and, utilized if we see more blockchain as a technology perspective. And obviously he'll talk about what Airchains is doing to bring confidentiality on chain using zkFHE kind of thing. So welcome to the On Chain India podcast, Ankur.
Hey, hi, Pratik. Good to see you again.
Awesome. So Ankur, let's start with the first question. I think your tagline, what you have, is pretty interesting. So would love to deep dive. What's the difference between confidentiality and privacy?
Okay, mostly, confidentiality gets confused with privacy because a lot of privacy projects are coming up. They call themselves privacy, but mostly everyone is working in a confidentiality domain, and there's a big debate should happen. What's privacy should not be confused with confidentiality. So, privacy is basically when you are, privacy involves when you are shielding the participants' identities, while confidentiality focuses on shielding the content of the operation performed by the participants. So, basically, in the context of blockchain, privacy comes with associated legal regulation issues, and we see a lot of projects who have been offering privacy for a huge long. The founders are not able to run up the projects, and the projects are involved in various kind of malicious activities also overall. So whereas confidentiality is there in the market, and there are multiple projects who are actually building on confidentiality, and they have been very practically safe in the space, and they have onboarded a lot of users in these cases. So that's what my take is.
Awesome. I think we'll definitely, deep dive more into, these use cases. But before that, Ankur, we want to reflect on your, Web3 journey. How did you get to know about this? How was the first initial year? And what basically motivated you to build, in this space?
Oh, so let's. I would like to give a start idea when I first knew about the term called Bitcoin. Bitcoin was a crazy shit. It was some new term which was flowing out there in the space, and it started. I first heard about Bitcoin in 2012. I remember when we were working on some Tor project, and we encountered with Bitcoin. You can pay using Bitcoin. First created Bitcoin wallet back then. Of course, instantly sold it for some usage. Then started mining Ethereum in school. So school, aka college in India. So while I was in my engineering school, I was mining up Ethereum for multiple personal activities across the college dorm. So, we can empower and use multiple funds to use it. That was my first two takes where I was deeply involved with the technology of Ethereum and Bitcoin coming together. Then I saw the ICO situation in 1718. It was uh, it was booming. The ICO situation was taking place. I knew few projects who were doing ICO, uh, and it was the next big thing. People were making up their own projects, tokens out there, taking it live. Things were coming on Ethereum. Multiple chains were coming up. And things were changing. So I started on those dynamics, finished up my school as soon as possible, and then started working as a studio with multiple projects, like worked with Polygon. It was back then known as Matic. Met Sandeep. Sandeep has been a great mentor and a guide for me on basis of blockchain, or you could say Airchains and life both. He has taught me some great fundas back then, which is still working for me in shaping up the life. So that's how it all started. Then I started working at multiple different kind of IRL use cases. Then we actually started working with Hyperledger to deploy multiple use cases, was working with Matic, then slowly started working in Cosmos ecosystem because it was pretty much, you can do a lot of customization, lot of requirements. You can build your own quick chain with Cosmos SDK. Back then it was starting up. AVMOS was there. Then CosmWasm was there. Multiple other things we started exploring and was parallelly working as a studio. Then at last project we worked as a studio was working with Arbitrum Foundation or Off-Chain Labs together. So and then started Airchains, saw a very deep genuine problem with one of the use cases we were working with, named you know they were working in carbon offsetting and multiple other situations. We realized that there is a significant chunk of blockchain transaction which needs to be confidentiality, which needs to use confidentiality. And we already see the need for confidentiality playing out in the web 2 world. So we thought, why not bring up the confidentiality on chain. And we saw Telegram Signal getting increased popularity. We saw Brave reached all time high MOU monthly active users of 66 million by November 23. 50% of Firefox MAU, monthly active users. So these very much signals became, part of, okay, we need to bring confidentiality on chains. And we started Airchains with a very clear thought that we are going to bring a lot of IRL projects and projects use cases who need blockchain to it. So that's where we started up.
Got it. Ankur, let me, take you back, few years. And I think one of the questions that a lot of the young developers often faces while choosing down the idea, right? Because I think this is where you start speaking with some big foundations, like you mentioned, and, practicality with all the ecosystem players. So how is the mindset, or what was your mindset basically, while choosing on the concept, while picking multiple ideas? And also, if you can impart some advice specifically to young developers and entrepreneurs who are recently starting, on what should be the playbook to catch on that idea.
Uh, it has to be very simple, something needs to be work. Something needs to work. What you are building has to have a use case or an identity where it needs to click. It needs to have a usage out there. Bitcoin was there because 2008 financial crisis was there. It instantly clicked up with the use case which was quickly available in the space. So what we think and what there are hundreds of idea we think of on a regular basis. On every other day I think that this app can be developed on this application. Why not we are introducing reward systems on chain? Why not we are introducing buying and selling of multiple commodities on chain, where where blockchain is very much required. You think on how AI and DeFi can really shape how you can actually use AI in trading in on-chain activities. Also, how transitioning or linguistic situations can also be very much overlooked with the availability of on-chain presence. So I think there are multiple use cases which we think through. Then there are different kind of solutions which are also available. We need to look at, is it infrastructure, it's middleware, it's tooling, it's L1, L2, it's DApp you want to create, what kind of DApp you want to create. So think it through. uh, Take a good amount of time while you look at the vision which comes around. It should not be very short scene vision, like, okay, 6 months is the only utility and it's gone. It has to be a long term plan. And then it's a good idea to kick in. You have to sort it out, you have to discuss with people, talk right side of people. Levitate labs helps sorting up those kind of situations also. If you look at, then there are multiple more people who you can actually talk and work with, who can actually solve these kind of solutions. You can pitch at multiple hackathons globally happening every 1 2 months. You can reach out to me and other entrepreneurs. Everyone in Web3 is very much approachable and helpful, so they can help you with sorting up those ideas any day. Just make sure you build.
Just make sure you build. That's a great advice, Ankur. Now coming, to the Airchains journey, right? I think once you guys had, finalized concepts, obviously you got like a lot of support from, few of the foundations that you mentioned, and you know, you've seen, some of the use cases which are built in the Web2 use cases, and I think I remember having conversation with you that if Web3 has to have that sort of adoption in a country like India, where already there are tons of other issues, there has to be some practical use case. And I think one of the good value parameter about you and the entire Airchains team is, I think you guys are very practical in terms of okay, this is the solution that you guys are building. Once it is built, let's see where this can be used. And I think you have fair amount of good judicial contacts where these sort of use cases are being implemented. And we saw some good PR coming out in last couple of years as well, and hoping to see it more in the upcoming time. But walk us through that journey, because it's a new technology which is being built. Getting it to the judicials, again, very hard task, but you still drove it, and then finding an adoption and some practical users who are coming and using it. It's a great thing. Would love to hear on that journey as well.
So, the use cases which have been in the space where Airchains has been a key implementation partner, or Airchains has been used as a key technology out there, we have a very clear thing in mind that the technology has a utility, and it has to have real users. you know uh, Dealing with the people from in India, you have uh, executive power, legislative power, and then judicial power. There are multiple different kind of powers, all can see and foresee uses of technology on a very deep level. When you go to a grassroots level where things actually take place, where uh, you know uh, things get manufactured, or things start getting shape taking shape, uh, you see people don't know about the technology much. They are only focused on their core jobs, and uh, let get them introduced with what blockchain is. You make them meet the concept of technology, blockchain, how it's going to scale, how it is required, and how it's going to be transparent. And one of the most difficult tasks is to making them understand that it's not reinventing the wheel. you know People get confused. Execution, so, the uh, the executive power of India get confused every time that blockchain is something where they need to reinvent the wheel. No, it is not. It has to be just an addition to the existing wheel. Blockchain is just an existing addition which you can quickly add to your existing solution, and good, it solves a lot of things. Banks are taking it. We in India feel that okay, taxations are high, regulations are pretty much unclear as of now. We think the blockchain is not going to get adopted, the technology is going out. It's actually not true. The legislature and the executioners are the executive powers, and the legislators are the best executioners of blockchain as a utility. They are taking it very quickly, very smoothly, and they want it to have in multiples of solutions. They're thinking out through, they are figuring out how it can be adopted. Yeah, we have multiple types of situation where we see difficulty, challenges. So Airchains is just a blockchain company, but so we cannot go and execute the use cases on the ground where they have a problem or they have a utility. We have multiple studio partners, dev studio partners developing developer shops, etc., who help us, streamline the uh, part of reaching out to the enterprises or the institutions or any other party. They help us sort it out, the web 2 part, and we use their chains to you know uh, get onboarding them with the users.
Got it. Ankur, also, I think you guys are at a stage where I think, testnet is launched. You've seen some phenomenal numbers. And, I see a lot of community members chatting and they're excited, for token to come around, more predominantly, from the utility perspective as well, given the kind of forefront, tech that you guys are building. But also share us some highlights on what 2025 is primarily going to be look like specifically for Airchains.
So, we have a very phenomenal year with the testnet 2024. The testnet saw some crazy numbers which we didn't expect, in terms of how it's going to get used. And the best part was it didn't saw the downtime. We expected some downtime, but the community was cool enough to handle the situations pretty well. And a lot of talk is going on with the community around the TG and what's going to be do with the timeline. So 2025 is going to be a key timeline for us. Airchains is very keen and very peculiar in coming up with uh, very clear token neutrality, and we have already informed the community on how it has to go. We are coming up with AMF, our own token, and Airchains community is going to look at the token, and we have multiple plans of it. We are planning by end of Q1 or by first of Q2 25 to launch Airchains token. That's the plan. And we have already onboarded multiple projects. We have already signed up for 10 plus projects who are going to be part of our mainnet launch, and then we are going to onboard 15-20 other projects who are already in pipeline to getting onboarded with Airchains for the mainnet. So that's some decent numbers we are working on with the mainnet plans, and we are going to make out with multiple partners to make sure that all the BD uh, part, business development part, is allowed. Airchains will be reaching out to everybody, whomsoever wants to develop. We are looking to do open uh, partnerships. Also, Airchains is very clearly looking to release some, token support for the projects who are building in. So it's going to be a lot of work this year, and I have already started seeing a lot of activity going around.
Awesome. We are super excited to hear about the AMF token first, and hopefully this year is what you guys expect it to be in terms of mass adoption and a lot of projects using the underlying tech. One last question, Ankur, before we leave. Suppose any young developer or the first time, few folks in Web3, if they come, can you share, a couple of ideas which you feel are very interesting to build in these, markets where potentially we have a government which is very, very regulation friendly, and where you see the adoption can be, really great. You can just throw, a couple of ideas that comes to your mind.
So I really think with AI growing and Web3 taking up some space, uh, proof of personhood is something which I'm very interested in, how it's going to shape up. So if you're building proof of personhood, happy to have chat with you. Then multiple other projects, like how AI and Deepin is going to work together. We have talked a lot, but this year I'm looking to see some execution, how it's going to be there. Then AI on chain, how it's going to get executed is something very, very interesting. situation is, I am interested in. Also, I'm very much interested in seeing multiple privacy focused use cases, or you could say confidentiality focused use cases, where multiple values are there. Like decentralized lending is something I'm interested in. I'm looking to see confidentiality airdrops, which has been talked a lot, but yet to be seen how it's going to shape up. So those kind of early use cases, we are very much interested in seeing how it's going to uh, shape up the space. Then there's one specific thing, that is blockchain gaming. you know uh, Secure gaming with multiple actionable assets protecting your data, and multiple tools getting built for the gaming part is something I'm very interested in, because tooling, the gaming part has already seen a lot of infra, a lot of tooling, but there is something new which is going to come across in the current times. So happy to see these kind of use cases.
Awesome. Very, very, excited to see this progress, Ankur, and appreciate your time on coming on to the Onchain India podcast. And hopefully, we see a crazy year for Airchains in 2025.
I hope to, and it was pleasure talking to you again, and talking to the future people who are listening on how the development they are going to build a dApp or whatever they are going to build. We would love to see India on chain.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Thanks.
thank you.